Hello everyone. Today we're still working with completing the square. And what we're going to do today is work with examples that don't have a 1 for the a value. For this problem, 7b squared minus 14b minus 56 equals 0. The a value is 7. So we actually have to do this step number 1. So let's begin with that. So step number 1, divide everything by the a value. So all these terms, even the 0 one. So what are we left with? 7b squared divided by 7 is just b squared. This is a negative 2b. Negative 56 divided by 7, that's negative 8. And that equals 0 divided by 7, that's just 0. Stays the same. Next, move on to step number 2. Put all your variables on one side of the equal sign. So that means b squared minus 2b plus, I leave a space there, and I also leave a space on the right as well of the equal sign. I need to move that negative 8 over to the right, so I will add 8 to both sides. So there's a positive 8 over here. Next, in these little spaces, we want to put b divided by 2 squared. So what's our b value? It's not this anymore, it's actually this right here, the negative 2. That's our b value now. Okay? So write the first step the same, b squared minus 2b plus our b value, negative 2, divide by 2 squared. Do the same thing on the right side as well in this little space. Negative 2 divided by 2 squared, and then I have that plus 8 right there. Step number 4 is to simplify. So I'm going to make this easier to read. Negative 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared, negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Let me get rid of that extra equal sign right there. This also turned into a positive 1. Number 5, factor. So you want to factor this part right here, the left side of the equal sign. You can do this by the diamond method, or you can use this really easy trick. It's just x plus b divided by 2 quantity squared. That's what I'm going to use. So I look at what my b value is. It's this negative 2 right there. So for step number 5, I'm just going to write b, which is normally my x right here. And then I'm going to write plus my b value divided by 2. Put parentheses around it and square it. That's equal to 1 plus 8, which is 9. Lastly, number 6, solve for x. So what do we have here? We have a quantity squared equal to 9. So let's square root both sides. So if I square root both sides, I have b, oops, I don't need that parenthesis anymore, b plus negative 2 divided by 2, that's actually negative 1. And then we have plus or minus the square root of 9. You have to remember that plus or minus. It's very important. The plus and minus is important. And let's continue simplifying. We can now add the 1 to both sides. So we have b equals plus or minus. What's the square root of 9? Well, that's just 3. And then we have plus 1. So your answer, what I do is you have b equals plus or minus 3 plus 1. Because of that plus or minus right there in front of the 3, I like to write it like this. Plus 3 plus 1 minus 3 plus 1. The two different versions, I like to write them out so I can see them. So, plus 3 plus 1, that's 4. Negative 3 plus 1, that's negative 2. So the answers are 4, comma, negative 2. And that's working with completing the square with a different value for a.